Hello everyone, my name is Hanim Mazlan from University Technology Mara, Perlis, Malaysia. Today I would like to present our study entitled Integrations of Wearable, Persuasive and Multimedia Design Principles in Enhancing Depression Awareness, a conceptual model. Throughout this presentation, 5 main topics will be discussed. First, I will start with an introduction to introduce the overview of this study. Then, I will explain the process involved in developing the model, which consists of 4 phases. All the phases will also be discussed in detail. After that, the presentation will demonstrate and elaborate on result and discussion. Next, the conceptual model will be presented, and finally, I will end my presentation with the conclusion. So let me first give you a brief overview of this study. Recently, the National Health and Mobility Survey reported that in Malaysia, 2.3% of adults aged 18 and above experience depression. It is said that the effect of depression and obsessive-compulsive disorder is a lack of controllability awareness. Controllability awareness is the ability of an individual to pay attention and differentiate whether the aspect of possible consequences are controllable or uncontrollable. Unfortunately, the depression's effect among Malaysian university students are still unexplored and remain challenging. Nevertheless, the vitality of mental health problem can be promoted and enhanced through the technology. The wearable, persuasive, and multimedia are among the technologies that can be used to promote and enhance depression awareness. This is because wearable technology is a promising means to help individuals develop awareness. Meanwhile, persuasive technology also has evolved to deal with diverse practices including awareness. Moreover, with the help of interactive media, a well-designed application able to persuade people effectively towards behavior change. Nevertheless, a previous review of persuasive multimedia principle in wearable technology had confirmed the absence of the integrations of wearable, persuasive, and multimedia principles. Thus, this study aims is to propose the conceptual model of wearable persuasive multimedia to enhance awareness, particularly controllability awareness, to lower the risk of depression, especially among undergraduates. In order to develop the model, content analysis will be used. Content analysis is an easy-to-use, explicit, and systematic tool for analyzing documents and text, which can be used to develop an understanding and provide new insights and knowledge in different contexts. Let us now move on to the next topic. By using content analysis, the innards for each component of a conceptual model are determined. Evidently, this kind of analysis has been applied in previous studies in developing their model. For instance, Ibrahim applies content analysis for decision criteria, techniques, theories, and human-computer interaction components to develop a design model for youth personal decision aid. Furthermore, Ahmad also determined the components and elements in the interactive computer-assisted learning conceptual model using content analysis. Similarly, Sarif conducted content analysis to identify potential solutions from existing solutions for computerized personal decision aid. Finally, in the study of conceptual design of reality learning media model by Mutalib, the content analysis referred to as the effort to gather basic information at the early stages of study. For this study, the analysis involved 4 phases, namely analyze, define, ideate, and validate. In the analyze phase, the common components will be determined. Then, in the define phase, the elements for each component will be identified. All the components will then integrate during the ideate phase. Eventually, in the validate phase, a multidisciplinary expert review method will be used to validate the integrated components. My next presentation will discuss in detail the activity in each phase. The main activity in analyzed phase is to determine the common components of the model. Altogether, 22 studies were identified based on keywords related to persuasive multimedia in various domains and technologies and utilize persuasive and multimedia principles. As a result, the common component and subcomponents are determined where both are the primary requirements in the conceptual model to enhance controllability awareness. As displayed in the table, it clearly shows that most of the chosen subcomponents have a higher percentage of frequency compared to other potential subcomponents. Consequently, for the design principles component, 3 subcomponents, namely the persuasive design principle, wearable design principle, and multimedia design principle were chosen. Meanwhile, awareness, use, and wearable are the chosen subcomponents for target outcome, user, and technology components. In the second phase, the elements for each subcomponent was defined. For the subcomponent of persuasive and multimedia design principles, 29 persuasive and 13 multimedia design principles were successfully identified. In addition, the most utilized interface design and suitable to be applied in wearable technology were considered the elements for wearable design principles. The controllability awareness is the most relevant element since depressed people will cause them lack of controllability awareness. Furthermore, it can be measured using 4 controllability aspects which are personal control, shared control, others in control, and no one in control as stated in the controllability awareness inventory. In the youth subcomponent, university student is considered due to various determinant factors of academic depression. In order to identify their emotion, heart rate is chosen as element for the subcomponent of the physiological parameter. Sensor is one of the crucial elements in wearable technology. This is because in detecting heart rate or heart rate variability, the selected studies utilizing wearable technology were reported using a pulse oximeter sensor. Additionally, wearable also can be divided into groups of screen-based and non-screen-based. Thus, the screen size also needs to be considered as it will implicate the user interface design. In the third phase, all the defined elements for each subcomponent were integrated. The integration forming a framework that was ideated based on the generic steps in persuasive system development. All the steps in the framework are essential in realizing an idea into reality. When designing a persuasive system, all the aspects including responsiveness, error-freeness, ease of access, ease of use, convenience, information quality, positive user experience, attractiveness, user loyalty, and simplicity that implicitly covered in the framework need to be recognized. However, prior communicate the ideas to developers, precise requirements for software qualities need to be defined. Eventually, software quality checklists must be prepared to evaluate the persuasive system. For this study, multimedia principles are defined as functional requirements to describe how the system should behave, while wearable principles are the non-functional requirements that specify the qualities that should be owned by the system. Finally, the selected persuasive principles are integrated with the system requirements and embedded in the wearable persuasive multimedia application to enhance controllability awareness. Finally, the conceptual model underwent a first validation process by using the multidisciplinary expert review method that was conducted through an online workshop. As this study will be looking into multi-technology and human psychology, all appointed experts were among the academics and practitioners with years of experience in the related field of persuasive multimedia, wearable technology, and human psychology. All the experts validate the model according to 3 main criteria, which are the chosen components and subcomponents, the selected elements for each component, and the integrations of design principles. After the review process, the experts share their comments, feedback, and recommendation. Next, we will turn to the topic of result and discussion. The main issue highlighted by the experts is how the conditions are set in selecting the elements in the design principles component. Before the review, only the principles that at least fulfill two criteria were chosen. Those criteria are principle utilized to target awareness, principle implemented in wearable, most utilized principle, and principle used in the health domain. However, after the review, an N criteria table was constructed. Based on the expert suggestion, the design principle can be appropriately selected based on the best number of selected criteria. As a result, the elements are chosen based on the frequency of the design principles that fulfill three selected criteria, since the number is relevant to apply in the model. Finally, the proposed conceptual model is assembled based on generic steps in persuasive system development previously discussed in the idea phase. The conceptual model will be presented to you in my next slide. Finally, based on experts' feedback, comments, and suggestions, the relationships among the four major components and their subcomponents and their defined elements are expressed through the conceptual model. As can be seen in the figure, the major components are design principles, technology, user, and target outcome, where each component consists of subcomponents and the selected elements. All of the components are connected according to their dependency on one another. For example, the design principle component that includes its subcomponent, which consists of the elements, will be implemented in the technology component that comprises its own subcomponent and element and connected to other components. Moving on to the next slide will conclude the presentation of this study. To conclude, this study believes that awareness regarding the vitality of mental health problems, especially to specific target groups, can be promoted and enhanced through recent technology. Therefore, in line with the plan to improve controllability awareness among university students pertinent to depression issues, an integrated model comprising wearable, persuasive, and multimedia design principle is proposed. The conceptual model was constructed through a series of rigorous content analysis. The validated model is aimed to serve as a guideline by the application developers in developing a solution to enhance controllability awareness on mental health related issues. Well, that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope you will have gained an insight into this study. If you have any inquiries or you need further information regarding this study, do contact me via umi462@uitm.edu.my. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.